Attention Kmart
Okay,
shoppers.
could everyone take their seats, please?
Isn't that wonderful?
That delights me no end.
All right, where are we? Public comment.
Boy, you give everybody brownies and coffee, and look what they do. They just kind
They were happy.
of party, big party.
Did you get a brownie?
No, I didn't.
Me either. What a brownie.
They're going like hotcakes.
Really, those are good.
Rachel.
Okay, we'll call this meeting back to order, and let's see. Audrey, where are we at here? Do you have anything else for us?
Public comment?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but did you have anything else up for us under the appeals
Under
section?
public hearing, no, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And at this time, we'll take public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak on any matter, please come forward.
Well, I'm sure you're going to work with Mr. Lopez and his son, and they've been here for 20 or 30 years working and paying their taxes and stuff, and it seems like they got misinformed and misled. And as you say, though, they should have gone through a realtor. But what if you divided a trailer in half and called it a mobile, multi-unit development or something? What difference is it going to make to the neighborhood if one exception goes through? I don't know.
Yep,
It's a
thank you.
sad day.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rick. Yes. How are you doing?
Good morning. For the record, Kathy McGrath, and this is kind of a serious issue. Recently, there have been comments both in the press and here. Certain friends and residents who live a little north of us in Estero have been attacking our local elected officials, both some of those that are in office now and some past ones. And it disturbs me. It's very disappointing to me because the issue is, of course, the residents that live in that part of Pelican Landing. And what I remember at council meeting being said was, you voted to allow these people involved to have the opportunity to vote whether they wish to become part of Bonita Springs or remain the way things are. I don't recall any of you advocating annex, take away, confiscate, or anything. And I just wish that, when they attack any of our local staff or our council people, I feel they are attacking all of us down here. So let's let things take their course. I commend the people in Estero. They've done a beautiful job of keeping their piece of paradise looking and developing very, very attractively. So they should concentrate on that. Let things take their course. The democratic process is the people involved should have the opportunity to make the decision. And after that, take it from there. But I just wish that they would be a little more careful. And perhaps the press picked up on this and maybe sensationalized it a little too much. But I just wanted the record to reflect my feelings on that. And thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Please come forward.
Fred Forbes, for the record. Want to really compliment the action that the City Council took at that workshop on moving forward for the beginning of a really great vision for what Bonita Springs is going to come to. We're already great now, but we're going to be a whole lot greater. I would encourage city staff and the council to maybe think of a way where you could jumpstart it and maybe, I know at that workshop I said, I believe that this is a big enough project, and I heard the words, we don't want to end up looking like more of Naples or the southern part of Estero. I would urge you to bring in an outside independent consultant, a good one, to help you do this. And I would suggest that you could jumpstart it by giving direction to move forward in that yet in this fiscal year so that you're hitting the ground running when your budget is approved for the next fiscal year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I also want to say I thought what you did and think the thing about continuing that was absolutely the right thing to do.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else this time, please come forward.
Alan Cody. I'm a realtor. And
I think this move towards growth is great, except that I can't get a parking space at the beach on Saturday in July. No parking. So, solution, there's a 5-acre parcel 5 blocks away from the beach that's been sitting there for sale for $850,000. It's in foreclosure with Liberty Bank. We're never going to get another opportunity to put a parking lot so close to the beach, 5 acres, and it's been on the market for $850 for a year. I'm sure they'll take an offer. Be a great place to put a little shuttle.
Very good. Thank you very much, Tom. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
I have a special file, Deborah McLean, publisher of the Banana Peel. I have a special file dedicated to parking formulas and resolutions for our beach. It's unfortunate that we did have the foresight to buy the lots before they were built on, or buy the older homes and tear them down and preserve them. But Mr. Cody's suggestion is the last viable piece of property that could be used and put in little junket buses to get people to the beach. We are touting ourselves as a Gulf front community, when in fact we are a golfing community, and we need to find a way. And if $850,000 and they will take an offer under that, 5 acres, you better do it now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and go to the city, our most famous city attorney's report.
Famous city attorney's report.
I don't know, whatever.
Fabulous city attorney's report.
I would never say fabulous, although I just did. Go ahead.
The first item is to approve a mediated settlement agreement. We went to the mediation on one of the eminent domain parcels for Shangri-La Road. It's outlined in the sheet that you have before you. Approving mediated agreement is for risk avoidance, and it does conclude the case, and also concludes the cost. One of the biggest problems with condemnation is the statute does require the city to pay reasonable fees and costs, not just legal fees, but also engineers, surveyors, appraisers as they go through the process. And this case is very unusual in that the property is owned by is owned, but the guy's deceased, Canadian. A lot of different issues with going through the estate and trying to correct title for this.
Okay. Good deal.
If I could have a motion?
Council?
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Okay. What else you got for us?
The next item is again litigation. In this situation, the city is, again, filing a case, and it's being filed by Joseph Ferber. There's actually 4 cases. They're code enforcement lien properties. The addresses are on the green sheet. Joe can answer any questions. Council, you have seen this issue, but it has been a while, and we just want to make sure before we start a foreclosure action, council is comfortable and aware that we're going forward.
Okay. Joe?
Other than what our famous city attorney has stated, I really have nothing else to comment. We did want to apprise you of the anticipated costs of the foreclosure action, as well as the open real estate taxes that would have to be paid down the road. So other than that, again, council, if you have any questions,
Make a
code
motion.
enforcement manager is present as well.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to authorize city
We have a
attorney to
motion. Is there a
commence.
second?
Second for discussion.
Okay. We have a second. Yes, Dr. Steve.
I'm really uncomfortable whenever the government takes over private property, but I asked Chris Campbell, Code Enforcement Director, to take me past those properties. I'm convinced that everything's been done on the part of the city to try to remedy not only the issues at the properties, but to make contact with the owners who have been unresponsive. Those pieces of property are a detriment to the safety and health of the people in the surrounding area, and they're a black eye for the city, and I certainly will support the attorney's recommendations.
Amen.
Okay. Any other comment? For future reference, I mean, I think that you've done everything right in this regard. This is the last resort, obviously the last resort. It's nothing that we look forward to. So in future reference to that, in a green sheet, I myself don't ever want to see us put in there how useful the property might be to the city, because it leads people to think that that's our goal, is to find property that is useful. No, it's not. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that at all. It's the only reason we're doing this is because it's the only remedy left for us. So
Yes, sir.
for future reference, we don't need to be saying that or putting it in writing. Okay, for that matter, is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye?
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Before we carry on here, I'm going to have to bail out on all of you. Thank you. And I'm got some place to go, although I like it here. But and so I'm going to leave the chair here in the middle here to our esteemed Dr. Steve.
And before you
Say
leave, Mayor, I just want to wish you and Martha, you've got birthdays coming up. Yours is next week, and yours is the week after, 29th, I believe.
Yeah.
29th.
And I'm
So
going to
have
take my mangoes, and I'll explain that some other time.
Happy birthday, Ben.
Take your mang and
My
go.
mangoes and go.
Take your mang and go.
Thank you, Ron.
Hey, Martha.
Morning, everyone.
I'm looking for my glasses.
Oh, am I wearing them? I mean, what the hell did I do?
Top dog,
All right,
See?
They work for me, but I know
we'll
I
carry on
don't
with the
know.
agenda, please, and
Item C,
C.
12C.
please, thank you.
Here.
May I?
Yes, please.
Yes. The next item is City Attorney Item C, but it also relates to items 13A and 13B on the city manager's agenda. What it is when the city first came aboard, we adopted a personnel management system. We've amended that system several times, but it's kind of like an old car. It doesn't necessarily work as well as you wish, and it's true.
I know
And
what that's like.
and fixing it from here to there, it comes to a point that you need to sometimes put in a whole new system. What we're recommending is to repeal the management system. Now, this repealer is a little different than other repealers that you've seen. The effective date of this repealer will be upon the new leave policy being effective, with exception to the time off policy, which will begin October 1, 2013. And if we have to apply anything retroactively, we can. The repealer is simple. My part of this job is probably the simplest of anyone in staff. I know that the city manager, assistant city manager, and human resource manager have worked on this for quite a while. Mine was just to basically put crosses out of the entire of the entire old ordinance, and then have a one-page new ordinance to start. With that being said, I can talk about anything that you have on this, or if we can proceed forward with this. and
Well,
then
I
go
thought we
to
might ask
next two items.
Human Resource Manager to come forward and sort of
Thank you, sir.
explain the practical application.
Okay.
Thank you.
Audrey kind of went over, we have a current employee handbook right now that we adopted when the city first opened. The city has obviously evolved since then, which means our handbook needs to evolve, and it hasn't at this point. So we're at the point where under the current handbook, it's all under an ordinance. So if there are any day-to-day changes to policies, we cannot make those changes at this point because we have to bring it forward through a change of an ordinance, advertise. So we are asking the council to give us direction on revising the entire handbook policy. It'll be divided into two portions. This is kind of covering Audrey's last topic and Carl's first topic, so it's kind of blending the two together. We're going to separate into two different policies, handbooks. One will be directed by council, one will be directed by the city manager. The city manager one will do the day-to-day functions. The city council one will be anything that council wants to maintain in their control. At this point, it's just asking for direction. The content will come back at the 1st of 2014 when it is completed to go over the logistics of the details of the content. So at this point, it's high level. We're just asking for direction on which direction you would like us to go.
Council?
When we look at the city manager's report, A and B, can we, if we provide you the direction to proceed with the sort, can we include that along with it? Or is that a separate issue?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's more of a legal thing. I think you can. I mean, we're just asking for a vote at this point for direction that you feel comfortable at least about where we think we're headed here, and of course, with the understanding we will be back before you with more details with regards to the personnel manual itself, okay? Today, we are asking, the second item on the city
off.
manager's B has to do with the time off policy. We're asking you to approve that today. All right, so if you want to handle those two separately, that's fine, however council wants to proceed. Meg, are you comfortable with whatever?
Yeah, I am comfortable
Counsel?
with approving.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, please, Council.
And at this point, we can start with 12C, and 13A is probably more important than, to look at that. Keep in mind that as they prepare the new personnel system, some things are mandated by the charter to come by ordinance or to be set by ordinance, but we do have a strong city manager type system, which does require for him to be in charge of his employees. So there is some discussion as to how to do some of the things in policy. There will be some picking and choosing as you go through this process to determine, you know, how things apply within the confines of Section 39B of the Charter. But at this point, by repealing the old system, and again, the old system will be in effect, so we're not running rampant and crazy with no policy. It is in effect until the new ones replace it. It's creating a clean slate, and that helps us because there are some cases out there that talk about vested rights, and you want to be in a situation where there's not an expectation at this point forward.
So, Councilman Slakta, are you okay with?
Well, I'm still confused here. Now, you're saying that we should just approve the C? Or can we include both A and B?
No, I think I'm saying approve A, B, and,
And
well, C.
C and A and
12C,
B.
City Attorney C, and 13A and 13B on the city managers. What I have before you today is the 12C, which is the ordinance, but then, yes, you would do 13A and 13B. I don't think you need to do it as one vote. That's your call.
okay
But
with one
the
vote.
first step would be to repeal the ordinance, or start the process of repealing the ordinance, because we'll have 2 public hearings for that coming forward.
Okay. Well, if it's okay with Deputy Mayor, I would like to have one vote and approve the C and A and B also.
So,
I have a question.
all right, yes, Martha.
Thank you, sir. Timetable. So would you want to, with the permission to advertise? I don't know.
The ordinance.
Just asking, because if you're repealing one and you want to automatically replace it with the others, so don't leave the employees out in the lurch, or anybody we might employ, would you want to advertise to repeal and replace ordinance, so we get, by the time you get there,
The title block does use the term to replace the personnel management system, which is the purpose of the repeal, but we probably will not have a new personnel management system in effect by the time we go through the public hearings for the repealer. That'll be additional ordinances, and some things will not be done by ordinance, some things will be done by the city
policy.
manager himself, making the determination, and some things by administrative code.
Okay, well, would we not just want to do C now, and then when we get to the other one, we'll repeal it?
The problem with that is then you have that transition time. I think it's cleaner if it is, everybody knows the intent is to repeal this and then go forward. We still have it in effect. I mean, obviously, the employees can still be disciplined in accordance with the code, but as we get the new discipline through the pipeline, it can be enacted at that point. Now, some of these will not be adopted by council. Some will be done by the city manager. The city council needs to have anything that goes
I
within the
understand.
charter, but anything that's outside the charter, there's the other section of the charter that calls for the city manager to supervise and direct the administration of those departments. except as otherwise provided by the charter. So you have almost a conflicting charter provision.
You're right.
That you have to complement there. So it's easier and cleaner if you repeal and then go through replacement as things can be replaced.
You're right.
I thought this was a much simpler issue. Apparently, I was wrong.
I did too.
My motion stands
So your motion is,
to approve 12C and also 13A and B.
is there a second?
Second.
Real quick.
More discussion.
Just real quick, I don't like turning over authority that we already have as a city council to, staff. No offense, because y'all do a great job, but I just don't like to weaken the council. But in this case, you're right, because if it allows for administration as the city manager over the employees, that is in the charter his job. It's not our job to do that. And yes, we can oversee what he does, and very kindly, we've been doing that personnel management manual. But in this case, yeah, I relent.
Okay. Carl, are you okay with this?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
That's what we're requesting.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Slackta.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Okay.
That concludes all of my items and A and B of your report.
Carl, before you get on your motorcycle, do you have anything to tell us?
Yes, sir. Got a few more items under City Manager's report. First off, I just want to recognize Meg for all the work that she's done on this. I guarantee you that the amount of work she's already done is going to be far eclipsed by the amount of work yet to happen on this particular project, as well as everything else she does. So we appreciate her, and she doesn't get up in front of you very often, but when she does get up here, it's important stuff because it has to do with our employees. So
Meg was trying to leave, but
Yeah.
she heard her name.
Heard her name.
So thank you, Meg, for all
Thank
your
you,
work.
Meg.
Thank you.
Item C is the review of the monthly financial reports. We stand ready for any questions you might have.
Good.
Okay. Moving right along, item D, John Gucciardo.
Council had previously given us authority to enter into an agreement with a contractor for the unpaved roads project. Part of the terms of that had to do with getting a performance bond. There were some difficulties in getting that timely. We didn't want to hold up the project any more than we already had. We had some breaks in the weather, so staff made a decision to allow them to proceed, and we're just looking for a ratification of that decision. I'm happy to also inform you that since we've given them permission to go ahead, Pine Avenue's done, Smoky is done, they're working on Somerset right now,
Well, I was late today.
and people seem to be thrilled with the results.
Should have sent a car for you.
Thank you. And
Structure
thank you, city staff, particularly the mayor, the city council manager for making this happen.
Yes.
Because I don't think it would have happened if you hadn't taken this under your purview and made it work. So thank you.
Well done.
Any more questions before we make a motion to move? Okay.
I have a question about B. Did we go over that?
Uh-oh.
That B got approved, right? When we did, yeah.
Yes, B was approved in the,
In conjunction with 12C.
with C and also A.
Well, I wanted to discuss B, but,
Well, if you have a comment, please.
well, no, let's finish what we're doing here first. Let's do this one.
All right.
Finish D, huh? I think
Looking
that's
for
appropriate.
motion,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
motion and second. Any more discussion?
Ratify the modification.
Right. Any more discussion?
Well, I just want to echo what you said, Councilman. For many years, it was no, 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 and the people who lived on these private roads that didn't have the financial ability to be able to get them together to pay, it will increase property values. It will be an asset to our city. It'll make us look like a modern city and not a rural city like we were. And you have that can-do attitude, and I want to thank you and your direction to your staff for getting the job done. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. And let me ask you about this 114. Is that going to be the final amount therefore, right? 114,000.
No, actually, we won't know the final accounting until
Okay.
all the roads are completed, and we still have one road that may be able to be added on.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
If I might respond. First off, staff always appreciates the kind words and the support of the council. And again, and I've done this before, and we can't forget Audrey in this whole scheme of things, because I will tell you that my experience in other cities has been, if it's private property, the city can't do it, won't do it. It's the responsibility of the residents. And without a legal opinion from Audrey that got us from here to there, we would not be here doing the paving today. So I want to thank her for her efforts as well.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you, Audrey.
This is a classic example of public-private partnership that someday when our attorney intern writes his book, this will be your chapter 5.
And how to do it right.
All right, we have a motion, a second, discussion, roll call.
Oh, am I allowed to vote on this, Miss Audrey?
On the Royal,
Because Somerset, I do live on
point.
Somerset Lane, and
Yeah.
I have 40
you abstained
homes.
previously, correct?
I think abstained previously, so I think I'll have to abstain on this one.
Thank you, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Roll call.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
I abstain, thank you.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Slackton.
Aye.
Okay. Who's up?
You can.
Do you want to go back to Councilmember Lonchart's question?
Oh,
or-
yes. I'm sorry.
I apologize.
No,
I
no,
must
that's fine.
somehow I missed it. I don't know if all the council is familiar with the situation in terms of the benefits to the staff, and this is one that I've followed for a reasonably long time, and it was put in place, I don't know how many years ago, 6, 7 in the beginning, and I do understand that the staff is entitled to vacation and sick time when they're not well. However, this situation is something that and I guess Lisa, if she's here, we have accumulated, I think the number is somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000 in a liability that we could have to pay out or will pay out sometime in the future, and has been growing on a yearly basis. And the reason for that is the amount of time that's accumulated. In my opinion, the staff should take it because they're entitled to it. However, I don't know that a financial payout, like a golden parachute, in addition to everything else that we do for the staff, and which they're also entitled to too. But I find it we're going to be paying out approximately $42,000 to 11 staff members because they have accumulated more than 600 hours of time, and what that means is that they will not only still continue to accumulate sick time and overtime, but it'll be up to 600 hours. And if you take into consideration 600 hours times the retirement age of the people, that'll be another tidy sum that they will receive in additional compensation. So my theory is take it. My whole thing is in the private sector, you use it or lose it, but not here in the public sector. And it's not about any personal situation I have with anybody on the staff, but it's really a situation where I'd like to come back again and be able to afford myself with some of these great benefits that are available through the city. And it's something that Carl is addressing. I understand that. I thank you for that. Lisa, she worked on it too. But it still leaves an iceberg out there that eventually will get larger and larger and larger. And I would hope that we could have a discussion about it in some fashion, because and then another beautiful part about it is that it also will enhance their retirement, because the lump sum that we're going to be paying out is eligible for FERS contribution, which is a wonderful thing. But I think it's over the top, and I thank you for allowing me to express myself.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And what we don't want to do is get ourselves in a position, and many cities are, where we have such an unfunded debt. I think that I have enough confidence in the city manager and staff to make sure we don't. I also noticed when we were going through the materials how many people are here every day. It's amazing to me that so many people are here. Thank you all for coming in. I know sometimes when you have the sniffles or don't feel exactly well to come into work. So thank city staff for that, please.
And Mayor, Deputy Mayor, May I say also that we just voted to change that bill so that we're knocking it back, but I don't know that you can't pay, that you would get in some kind of contractual employment dispute with employees who worked that time and were duly and rightly awarded that. So now we've changed a policy that's in the past, and we move forward and not have that liability hanging over us. But I think as far as employment law, you have to pay them
Yeah,
that.
we'll leave that up to the city attorney. Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. Anything else
Is that right?
on this?
Did you want us to respond to
If
any
I-
of that, sir?
I
Uh,
can give a legal response.
Okay.
I promise to keep it short. Recently, the governor was confronted with the same issues that Councilman Longcart brought up in the Scott v. Williams case. That was the part with the Florida retirement system and altering the retirement system. In that opinion, they talked about in 1981, the Florida Supreme Court interpreting a statute called the Preservation of Rights statute, and that's a public employee statute. And that's public employees, and public employees are a little bit different animal than private sector, and I understand that can be a discussion for a whole different day. But it vests all rights and benefits that have already been earned under the present plans, but does not preclude the governmental entity, such as yourselves, from altering benefits prospectively for future employees and for future service. So and that's what we're going through right now. We're trying to get it so that that unfunded liability is reduced or mitigated, recognizing there will always be some with the 600 hours. You will always have some employees up to that 600 that you'll always have some payout, but you won't have a endless payout potential with employees that have a lot of sick hours. And recognize, council, that earlier council did put in a cap on vacation hours. So that has always been capped so that the employees could not have like 1,000 vacation hours. So there is already some reduction because of how the plan was originally drafted.
If I might just maybe try to wrap this up a little bit. We believe that their rights were vested. We have people who are over the 600, the new 600 hour cap, and we felt it fair and right to compensate them. Yes, it's going to cost about $42,000 on a one-time shot, but the number that council member so rightly quoted at over $300,000 as our future liability, based upon calculations that Lisa Pace has made, that liability is reduced by $40,000 by taking this action. So we're going to see that. Further on, what we're going to see is down the road, as employees with some assumption that they will be getting some pay increases over the years, is that this $42,000 is paid at today's rates and not at the rate at which they may leave the city or retire, which might be an entirely higher rate of pay. So we think over time we're reducing the liability, not only on paper for the auditors, but also in reality for the city. And we think it's a good move. And the new cap of 600, while it sounds like a lot, is very competitive with the other agencies in the area. One last thing real quick. This payout that's going to be made of $42,000, there's going to be a vacation component to that and a sick leave component to that, all right? And the vacation component, yes, there is payment to the Florida retirement system for the vacation part, but not for the sick leave part. Correct. All right, so it's not the entire $42,000 is going to be FRS qualified.
Okay.
That's all I have, sir.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Can I make one clarification? Since the 600 balance keeps coming up and the liability of the 600 balance, the current employee can have a maximum of 600 balance, but the payout liability is only 240 hours in the new proposed policy. So the liability of the payout is not the full 600 hours. The max is only 240.
Councilman Longcart, you okay?
Yep.
I mean, I know you're not okay, but you.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Okay. Are we good?
we're good.
We.
Thank you. Ready to
Yeah,
move
we've
on?
already had that vote, okay?
Yes.
Let's
We're
go
good.
on.
All right, item E, real quick. Arlene's going to chat that up a little bit. Arlene?
Good afternoon. We have before you our first economic development incentive for facade renovation matching grant, as well as the landscape beautification matching grant, and these are both targeted to the Old 41 corridor. This is for conceptual approval of the economic development matching grants. The applicant still needs to continue with the permitting process, be fully inspected, provide receipts of all work completed, and at that point in time, the city manager would have the authority to release the final payment. The estimated project cost, total cost, is $13,061. That does bring us to the cap of the $10,000 for the facade renovation matching grant, and this is for a awning to help enhance an outdoor seating section. The second is the landscape beautification matching grant, which is an estimated cost of $7,385. And this is for the installation of brick pavers to match the existing sidewalk brick pavers and some ornamental plantings. And so it does as well reach the cap, which is $5,000. So the total package price of the matching grant would be $15,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I was advised that I can, or I don't have to, claim a conflict, but since, and we recently, my husband's company recently painted that and had a contractual relationship with the owner, I'm going to abstain. None of these grants are going to go and pay for what, our company did. So that's
Correct.
not, that, yeah, so.
Correct. There's additional work that Mr. Greenwood is performing at this time that is not related to this grant.
Yeah,
That he
and-
does have permits for.
And he did pay, he's all, the work's already done, he already paid for him out of his business, so none of these grants are gonna go towards that, but because I've had a relationship
Okay.
contractually there, yeah, and we had to paint that color palette. Which, is a little contradiction for me there too.
Okay, thank you. Carry on. We're ready?
So I will not be voting.
Arlene, I just want to make sure, it all does fall within the economic development purview?
Correct. This is part of the program that you adopted for the Old 41 corridor. So this is a business on the Old 41 corridor. They are meeting within the architectural guidelines. They've met with our city architect to review the plans.
You're
So
good
it
with
is in
it? You're good with
compliance.
it? Okay.
Make motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Abstain.
Councilman Longcart? Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. The next item, I'd like Laura Taylor to make an introduction of our newest employee, who apparently already has a fan base, so it's great.
Good morning. Our newest team member is Joanne Lawrence. She's standing right here. She comes to the communications department with over 10 years' experience in public relations and event coordination on a local level and some coordination on a national level. Joanne has shown extreme initiative already as she had the option to start after our 4th of July event or before, and she chose to start the week of our 4th of July event.
Right.
So within the first 4 days of her employment with the city of Bonita Springs, she braved water guns of our Bonita Springs residents. She also escorted one of our council people in the parade.
Ooh, she's rock and roll.
And she saw the repercussions of our beloved hot dog eating contest. And after an 18-hour day, she worked with other city staff to clean up the event, remnants of the event, and the best part of it all is she came back
For
the
more.
next scheduled workday. So please join me in welcoming Joanne Lawrence.
Welcome. Joanne, please, Joanne, come to the microphone.
Introduce it,
Yeah,
yes.
come on up here and say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself so everybody knows.
For the record, Joanne Lawrence. I have to say that I've never been so warmly welcomed anywhere, I think. I know, truly, I mean that. I really do mean that. And this, I suppose, is only my first few weeks, but I go home and I say, I love my job. I say, I love my job. And I think the main reason is that I work with people who are very down to earth and hardworking and always in the spirit of service. And truly, the council people always in the spirit of service and very kind. And very warm. So I have to extend this warmness back, and I'm very happy to be working with you. Thank
Good.
you.
Welcome.
Very
Welcome
well
to our
said.
family.
Very nice.
When we were interviewing Joanne, I have to tell you that the talent that she has that really tipped the scale is that she can operate a forklift. So just so you know, okay?
Well, as I understand it, she was also a Buddhist teacher at one point. Is that correct?
What?
So,
For 12 years.
thank you. Welcome.
I have one last item, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
And that is, Mr. Forbes had gotten up and talked about a recommendation for bringing in a consultant to assist us with this huge landscaping project that we're headed towards. And we are actually already, we agree with that recommendation. We're actually already in the process of developing an RFQ for consultants to come in here and assist us with the design, the prioritization, and project implementation so that we can ease up the pressure on our project managers on staff and actually hire somebody in to do that. Therefore, the project managers on staff can manage that manager. We think that's the way to go. We think it's efficient. And we think that we're going to get design ideas that hopefully are a bit unique from those we're comparing ourselves to.
Good, thank you. And this is just a suggestion because you do run the city. But we have I'd hate to leave the tree committee out, the lighting, the street lighting folks out, because those are all important items. But we also have people in the community at many of the golf courses who have studied how to landscape with less water, more indigenous plants that will help us. So if we can open this to the public or make some calls, we might even get more ideas.
Yes, we always, in the spirit of Bonita Springs, we always like to be inclusive. So absolutely, sir.
Okay, thanks very much. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, Mayor and council member reports, and we're going to start with Councilman Simmons.
Well, I just want to applaud the workshop. I participated for the vast majority of it by telephone, but did get here literally at the very end.
The entrance was perfect.
And hey, look, there's a lot of pride in this town, and we may disagree on how we're going to pay for it, but we are going to move forward with substantial landscape. There's been a lot of discussion on this, and certainly more to ensue. We're looking at building and building codes and what buildings need to look like moving forward. And Hertz is coming. We've all heard that, and again and again and again and again. And there are just wonderful things happening here in this town, and it's contagious. I'd encourage everybody to catch it. We sit here in a paradise. We're in capable hands. We have a staff that cares. We have a city council that cares deeply. So I just encourage people, let's keep it going.
Great. You also wanted to talk about Old 41 renaming
And I'd actually, with the 41 old name, I'd like to start with a quote here, right, by Shakespeare. We've all heard that. What's in a name? As I click on it here quickly to make sure I get it right. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. And, this was, I've only been in office here a year and a half. This was a question at a couple of our debates that came up. Old 41, where I grew up, and everybody knows where they grew up. Maybe they have roads that are called Old 41 or Old Post Road in our case, or originally in New Hampshire it was King's Highway, the old original road along the ocean. Those had very good connotations, historical connotations, sea homes, beach cottages, what have you, old farms. And I've heard it on the sidelines at my son's football games. We've heard it from constituents that Old 41, and there would be differing opinion on this, like there would be on any issue, but it, has a negative connotation for whatever reason. And like I said, there may be people that disagree with that, but I've heard this, and I've heard it again, and so I figured we would start the discussion, have a discussion. What do we think? We've heard Magic City, we've heard Biscayne Boulevard, we've heard, Bonita Boulevard. What's in a name? Well, with all these wonderful things that are happening in the city, what about Bonita Boulevard, Bonita Springs Boulevard, what have you. This is just something that I'd heard often enough to bring forward here, get other council members' thoughts, get, members from the community's thoughts, and see where we go from here.
We've talked about that on several occasions, and we have 3 rivers that run through the center of this city. We have a historic area. We've talked about the historic river district. But I'd like to ask Carl or Arlene to push this forward to the EDC and ask them to take a look at this sort of a thing, and I'll open it up for discussion. Martha.
Thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't want to push it to the EDC because many people in this town have a very strong opinion about this. And I brought this up before bringing it to council. I didn't bring it to council because I went to business owners along Old 41. They're like, absolutely not. So, but I do agree it should be changed. But I think we should get their input and not the EDC. Those people who are on Old 41, like the Old 41 restaurant, that would not make sense for them. There are routes called Old Route 66. People like to drive those. I don't know if that people want to reenact the Old 41, what's called the Old Tamiami Trail or something like that. But whatever, if we do choose to change it, that it should reflect the historic significance, the focus of our town. I have 3 suggestions. The name of that road has changed over the years, and I wrote something to a newspaper reporter the other day, but let me just tell you, from 1912, it changed to Heitman Boulevard. Prior to that, I can't find the research, but legally, it's Heitman Boulevard. It's also Tamiami Trail. It was Florida 27. It was County Road 887. It's Old 41 Road. It might have been Florida 94. So it has had name changes over the years. So I don't think that in the name of focusing who we are in Bonita Springs and increasing our community identity that we can't change that. But, in the past, we changed Imperial Parkway to Three Oaks Parkway, and a lot of people said, oh my gosh, don't do that. Because it was community identity, and took a petition out, and people said, well, Imperial Parkway, we can live with that, not because Imperial was the original place that Bonita settled, so they didn't want to lose that history. I think if Old Banyan Road, Old Tamiami Trail, Bonita Springs Boulevard, I don't think we should necessarily go back to, Heitman, because that really doesn't have any relevance to us, but Old 41 Road is relatively new name, so it's not really historic. It's not even 50 years old, because when they built US 41, which we all used to call New 41, then we had to have an Old 41. And that's where we got Old 41. So it's pretty new as New 41 is to those people who are around here, which is not so new anymore. That's that's all I have to say about that, but we can change it.
No, Arlene, does the Downtown Business Council have a seat on the EDC?
They don't represent everybody.
I would talk with Christine Ross. The chamber has been putting together a list of merchants in the downtown that they've been coordinating with. They've been doing a workshop series in the downtown they've been hosting. We've participated in 2 of those as well, one at the Shangri-La, one at the community hall. So she's starting to generate a list of those business owners to kind of keep them in contact, and we can coordinate with her with the list that she has. We can also reach out to the downtown commercial business organization that I know they're not completely formulated in regular meetings, but we do have some members that we can approach as well.
Peter and Martha, is it okay with you if we assign this to staff, at least to come back with some ideas?
I think that's great, and I think that something that we could also do is put it on our website. What are you in favor, and what would you name it? And we might come up with some consensus from the community.
Okay, thank you. Okay on direction?
You got it.
Peter, anything else?
No, I would echo that thought, absolutely, for community feedback and involvement on this. Residents.
Okay, thank you. And that's it for today?
That'll do it. Thanks.
Martha, you're up.
Thank you. I do have an item on here, and then I have a couple other things that I wrote down. One in particular was because over this Old 41 Road issue, it was in the Naples Daily News, and I can't read it on my iPad. Can I please ask staff, for the council members who have iPads can we please pay for having a subscription to the newspapers? Because they've both gone to pay to play, and I can't read the Naples Daily News on my government-issued computer.
I think, yeah, any of the council members that wish that service, just call Jane and we'll make arrangements.
Yeah, both for the News Press and the Naples Daily.
Understood.
Of course,
Whatever you'd
the
like.
Southwest Spotlight is still the best free paper around.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Waterways.
I'm going to waterways. You, hopefully, council members, you have read the backup on this. I submitted some requests and enumerated them here for how the waterways conservation funds will be paid for. Earlier in the meeting, I mentioned that the regional planning councils haven't been funded for the last 3 years, and hence our Estero Bay Agency on Bay Management, which Bonita Springs is a sitting member in, and it's a very important board for our city because of our water. They're not being funded either. So I asked that the Conservation Waterways Fund and you see here $1,000 to their general fund, $3,000 to the State of the Bay report, which would, as you see, I mentioned here, would dovetail perfectly with our legislative priorities about fertilizer and our water quality requirements, both for TMDL removal and compliance reporting. Dr. Beaver and Jim Beaver, two different people, they're married, at the Regional Planning Council believe that they can also show a very positive result from local fertilizer ordinance implementation, which currently we're benefiting about $1 million in tax credits on credits, TMDL credits for that. So I'm asking for that. This is a one-time request because, of course, that fund, this is just up until the time before the city took over the Riverfest, the money that was generated. Next, I was asking that we fund a little project. We mentioned this yesterday, near Pueblo Bonito and Imperial Harbor. Spring Creek there is kind of messy. The embankment has been denuded. If we can do that, working with the partners that are there, both Pueblo Bonito Partnership and Housing, Imperial Harbor, to just do some improvement around the creek there, I'd ask that we do that. And if there's anything left over, Bonita Nature Place, get that. I sound like I'm writing a will, for God's sakes. But that's the headwater, with the caveat, not caveat, but that it's the headwaters of the Imperial River. And, that go to the Bonita Trail, either on the BNP property or otherwise, whatever, but work with Column Hayes to do that. And then number 5 doesn't have to do with the Waterways Fund. We make a voluntary contribution. It's not legislated, but each city, and I'm going to mention something that we should look towards for next year, but real quick, I'm asking that we pay $13,500 to the Regional Planning Council. It's calculated on a population formula, and I'm asking that we designate $2,000 of that to go to the State of the Bay report, because I think it's directly related to the waters in our city, and we will get direct benefit. Otherwise, we'll get a benefit that's dispersed throughout 5 counties. I want that benefit coming back to us. I would say every year that we should designate $2,000 to the regional, to the ABM out of the Regional Planning Council contribution, but that will be for later councils to determine. And those are my requests.
Have you had a conversation with Councilwoman Simons about these?
Yes, we have. Just to remind council, the funds that she's asking for here are funds that came out of the Riverfest when Councilmember Simons was in charge of that event. And these are private funds that were actually raised as a result of that event, and they are actually held in escrow for uses just like this. But we don't have authority to just go out and spend it. Right. We do it on council authority.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any,
Staff's recommending approval on this.
Any discussion? Motion?
So move.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I just want to let you know that I also spoke with the executive director of the Regional Planning Council, who felt that the State of the Bay report is extremely worthy, and that she would be able to shuffle around $2,000 and get it covered.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your work.
you.
No, thank you for your work, really.
Certainly.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Item C, if the mayor was here,
may I finish up my
Oh,
council member item?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay, and I thank you for your indulgence. The last thing is, oh my gosh, I lost it on the page. You know what? Can you come back to me later when I find it? I wrote it down on here, and I have a bunch of notes.
We have another meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'll come back.
I'll let you know.
I'll come back. No, I'll come
Okay,
back. I'll come
okay.
back to you. Let's handle item C, and that's a resolution appointing a new member to the Bonita Springs LPA.
Do I get a council member?
If the mayor was here, I think he'd ask to go through last appointments and so on. Bob Mills was in District 1 when he resigned. That's McIntosh's district. Alex Grant, District 2, appointed him, which is, Alex is now in District 1. So he would probably ask if I had a recommendation. I would move, we appoint, I can't find out, Carolyn Gallagher, and she has proven herself through the issues with the homeless shelter to be a great analyst and a clearly driven by the residents' needs and betterment of this community. So I will
I'll
make
second
that
it.
motion.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Do we need the paper? It sounds real
Do
good.
we need a second? Is there a
I
was there
did. I
a
did.
second, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yeah, not to pile on, but you heard a lot of people speak here today, and to work with Carolyn has been a sheer pleasure and a delight, and your input is impartial and spot on, and I just wholeheartedly embrace you and would ask my council members to do the same.
And Mayor?
Yes.
I just keep calling you Mayor. How about that?
You can call me whatever you want.
I'll call you late for dinner. Okay.
Sterile.
She's also she also likes feral cats, and has trapped them and got them neutered in the past. So hopefully she'll be very helpful with that.
Thank you. Any other nominations?
I move we close nominations. How's that?
Move, second?
Second.
All right, roll call.
Deputy Mayor
I'm sorry,
McIntosh?
to make sure we understand. This is a motion and a second to approve Carolyn Gallagher to the LPA appointer. All right, thank you.
Deputy Mayor McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slachta?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
I'd do it 3 times. Aye.
Councilman Long?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Carolyn, congratulations.
Yay.
Do we have a revote?
Yeah. Well, sure.
That was
So
a cliffhanger.
do we need to turn these in?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Councilman Lockhart.
Thank you. I want to make a comment today about the Director of Public Works, Matt Feeney. He is the most thorough person, male, by the way, not usually the case, but he has done such a he has done such a fantastic job with along with John Gucciardi in doing the roads, and the photos that were provided to us on the one road that was completed that I saw, it was really a credit to him because he is so detailed in the money side of it, which I appreciate maybe more than most.
Really?
How he breaks it down and follows through. And I wanted to let him know. I don't think he's in the audience, but and of course the other part of the team, Dave Liccardi. I have situations that come up on Beach Road east of I-75 of about the shrubs and the trees and all the things not being cut and so forth and so on. It's a long story, but the process is that we contact our Public Works Department individually when we have a situation in our districts about that type of circumstance. And Linda and Connie in the department also, we give them the information. They contact the county if they're involved, and if it's a local thing, like striping on Bonita Grande, for example, Dave gets that, and it's just a pleasure to see the coordination of that particular department. That is not to say the other departments don't do a great job. It's not that. But in this particular case, they have a major situation because they have a lot more unpaved roads to do. And Dave Liccardi and Matt are a great group of guys to work with, and I just wanted to thank them for their service and to know that the city is moving so quickly to complete all of the things, including the landscaping, and I see a very positive future for Bonita Springs. Thank you.
Thank you for that compliment. Thank you. Is that it?
Yes.
Martha, did you remember?
I did. It was thank yous. It was to thank the staff. They'll be coming forward on August 7th, making a recommendation to the council about the Lions Club. They were very generous in their time devoted to their issue. The promenade has moved them from the promenade and with the new owner, and the new owner is proposing to have their own flea market there. Farmers market. 40 years, the Lions Club has had that market in Bonita Springs. Used to be at Riverside Park, as we all remember. And anyhow, staff has been very, very helpful in trying to help them get through all the gateways and twists and turns of what needs to be done to continue doing their fundraising. And I also want to ask Carl, can we have a ribbon cutting on these paved road things? You know what? That would just be so fun. And just, I got to tell you, my neighbors are like beyond the moon. They're like, I can't believe we're getting it done. They've all worked on different angles of trying to get this done, and they are just so pleased. Many of us voted for city incorporation for this purpose. So, for those people, they're feeling value from the city, and of course the city will feel value from them because they are just very grateful. Can we do a ribbon cutting?
We can work out whatever the residents would like.
I think that'd
Sure.
just be fun.
Absolutely.
And last, with the comments from Mr. Cody and Ms. McLean about this $850,000 5-acre lot out on the beach, this is not a bad idea, people. And I would like to see us to maybe investigate that and bring it forward. I know it could be a budget item. We have other budget items that might suffer because of it. But really, if you think of what has happened to our beach parking one, we've lost it, right? The county took away what they promised us was going to be our beach after they condemned the Pastores family business. And they paid them off something, but they said, oh no, but we're going to make a great beach for you people in Bonita Springs. Now we can't even go and pay for it. I mean, you paid $2 an hour? Really? We used to be able to go there for free and enjoy the sunset and have a beer. Anyhow, or whatever you had down there. So I would be interested in looking at this parking, if this 5 acres.
Is that direction to staff? or-
What would council like us to do on that? Council's pleasure on that?
I would agree.
I
would agree with
I
that.
think it's worth the time.
We'll do that.
Yeah, we hear complaints about parking out there all the time. Thank you,
Martha.
sir.
Anything
Thank
else?
you so much. No, sir, that's it. And
Nothing later?
everybody, pardon me, sir?
Nothing later?
Nothing later. I'm all done. I'll see you in 2 weeks, and we'll have another great meeting.
Okay, great. Janet?
Well, thank you so much. Just two kind of community things that I'd like to bring up, and one of them is our good friends and very, very thoughtful people at Royal Scoop, who always are doing things for the community. This weekend, they're doing a blood drive, and so for pint ice cream for pint of blood. So I think that's absolutely awesome, and I think that how can you not go out and do that? So that's this Sunday. And then also the Bonita Springs Assistance Office has put out a call to residents that their pantry is low. This always happens every summer because they don't have the population here to donate. But they also have a really large need for some of our, especially seniors, that have dietary restrictions for low sodium and gluten-free foods, and special dietary needs because of diabetes. So if anybody's out and about and shopping, if they can just keep their eyes open for those kind of products, the Assistance Office has a great need for that. So thank you.
And toiletries.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Colonel Slatka?
Yay, Deputy Mayor. We were throwing names out, and if you notice that the city staff, whenever they get up to the microphone, they have the answers. And there's never hesitation. They always have the answers. And I'm going to say that it starts at the top. And, Carl, with your leadership style and skills, it permeates through the organization, and you create a wonderful, wonderful working environment. So I want to thank you personally. That's it.
Thank you. With the mayor absent, he would probably advise me not to do this, but he's gone.
All right.
What road?
You know, it takes a lot to get me upset, and I'm usually pretty calm about things and let them roll off my back, but I'm really upset about something. I'm going to get it out in public because I got to get it off my chest. I look around this room and I look at our partners. We always have partners from the Sheriff's Department. Chief Daigle's here from the Fire Department. Mary Mima's here from BSU. We have Dan and other representatives from Community Development. Those are our partners. Not once have I seen a member of the ECCL come in, greet this council, say what's on their mind, and be part of what we believed was a partnership. I'm going to go on. I worked with the ECCL for the last couple of years. I've kept them absolutely informed on what we were doing at Pelican Landing, what we were doing in terms of any work that was going on in the city. And it wasn't until after the consent agreement was signed that they finally said, we're going to support incorporation. So to be painted as the bad people, as the problem in incorporation of Estero, taking Bonita Springs and making them the reason that they're incorporating is wrong. I sat through that meeting. This council was berated. Our ethics were questioned. We were called all but criminal in the way we dealt with things. And that not only is a reflection on this council, it's a reflection on the city of Bonita Springs, and I think it's absolutely inappropriate. After the discussion was over and I left the meeting, and that's after I was asked not to come back to any of the ECCL board meetings, and I could come as a citizen to the ECCL meetings, and I will. I was asked if I was surprised at the response of the people in the room when my name was mentioned. And it was sort of a boo. I don't know exactly what it was. And I responded, I wasn't surprised, particularly there's a lot of emotion. And we'll get past the emotion eventually. But I guess I was disappointed as much as anything that the leadership would allow one of the officers to smirk when that goes on. Because I can tell you, when you come to our house, when you come to this city council, and you have a difference of opinion, you have a different thing you want to say, you're listened to fairly, and you're treated with respect. I am proud of this council. I am proud of the ethical standards we bring to this city, and I'm proud of the city of Bonita Springs. And amen. God bless Bonita Springs. God bless America. Amen.
That's the council president.
Public comment. Public comment.
Well, thank you, Councilman McIntosh. I agree with you on that. And the only question I have is I hope your neighbors in Pelican Landing are better than the rest of the people in Estero, because I don't know why we want those people.
I didn't go that far, I hope. But
We could always give them a special beach pass. Okay. Deborah McLean, publisher of the Banana Peel. One of the things we haven't talked about in all the wonderful, exciting landscaping and the architectural renderings for Old 41 are the architectural and uses and landscaping of the 100-acre dog track. They did make a proposal, I believe, about more retail and more office space, but recently I found out we have still $1.26 million in vacant commercial space, which means we don't want to drag people out to the east. We want to develop our core and fill what we already have. But I am concerned about the architectural. That is our big corner. It is the gateway. It goes down to Naples. It goes to Fort Myers. It goes to our new Bonita, downtown Bonita Boulevard, whatever it's going to be. So I am concerned about the impact of the new buildings. As we heard earlier from Carol Green, it looks positive. It might take a while, but what are the architectural intentions of the dog track and the grounds around it? And we are sorely lacking down here some kind of small convention destination hotel. An upscale. It doesn't have to be the Ritz, but we could make a mark on that 100 acres. And the Havnatechs are easy to work with, but architecturally, casinos can be quite ugly. So that's my fear. But I really, and I also sent Barbara an email. That's the mother Havnatech, that her building was ugly, and to please do something about it. And she wrote back. So I am concerned that with the vision and all the excitement and positive forward movement that we have to remember that they are 100 acres, less than a couple miles to the beach.
Thank you. I got a little out of order. We need to approve the minutes before we go to public comment. I'm reminded.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor McIntosh?
Aye. Public comment.
Come back up, Deborah.
Everybody wants in.
Good afternoon, I get to say that. And I was going to do all happy stuff like I like to close the meeting and put a smile on
Please
face.
do.
But I will, but first of all, a few comments were made. The Zimmermans, they are so, I don't know if you're aware, but I heard an ad of theirs, between 4 and 6 on Monday evenings, afternoons, I think it is. Any student who comes in and recites the Pledge of Allegiance by heart gets a free scoop of ice cream, so they are good about that.
That's cool.
And thank you for your comments. I had made my feelings known before. I will reiterate, I agree 100%. And July 4th, let's get to happy stuff. What a wonderful day. And sorry I didn't make the parade, but I thought a 10-hour a day was enough for an old person like me. I'm not like Joanne with 17 and Laura, 17 and 18 hours, because I got there to help cut the watermelons. But I had so many comments from people from Naples that said, oh, we don't go down to Naples. We'd much rather come here. And you know, outside of a little rain shower, nobody seemed to run off. And we lost our power, unfortunately, and nobody noticed. In fact, Councilman Slash said, oh, did we lose the power? I didn't know we lost the power. The fireworks were so great, right? Right. Okay, and now for my final thing. I hope I put a smile on your face, and I hope I don't offend anyone. But I read this in Reader's Digest, and it was under the heading of things that didn't turn out the way we thought. And in this case, there was a chimpanzee in the zoo in Seville, Spain, that was very bored. So the zookeepers thought, well, gee whiz, maybe we should get a TV set for her to look at. So they put the TV set where she could see it, and then they taught her how to use the remote. So one day she's channel surfing, and she came across a porn site, and now she is addicted to porn. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm almost afraid to ask. Any other public comment?
That's something like government TV or?
Thank you, Citizens Bonita. We're adjourned.